welcome back to another episode of the Whisky Diaries. My name is Matt Lang, we're here at Death and Taxes, and today we're going to be talking about the best-selling single pot Irish whiskey in the world, Redbreast. In this particular case, Redbreast 27-year-old that just got released in 2020 as the permanent oldest release of Redbreast. So until 2020, it was a 21-year-old. A little bit of history behind Redbreast, just so you guys know. Every Irish distillery is a pretty colourful history. In 1857, a Gilbey's company started in London, UK, and then they started a branch in Dublin. Now, Gilbey's was basically what back in the day was called a wine and spirit supplier. What they used to do, they used to bring a lot of casks from around the world with sherry, wines and different sorts. And because they had such a surplus of casks, they used to get distillate directly from distilleries. Instead of getting a bottle, they just got the distillate and put it in casks. Now, by 1870s, Gilbey's had about 300,000 gallons of actually whiskey agings in the warehouse around it. Now, because of this, they started producing a lot of whiskey was being produced directly and specifically for Gilbey's, and one of those whiskies was at the time in 1903 was Jameson's. At that stage in 1903, Jameson's released a bottle that it was similar shaped as Redbreast bottle that it is today. That was called John Jameson's JJ Liqueur 12-year-old whiskey. Now, after that, 5 years later, they decided to rename that whiskey to actually Redbreast in honor to one of the CEOs at the time that he used to love to bird watch. And actually, Redbreast is one of the only birds. It's actually the only small bird that keeps singing to the winter in Ireland. So that's why they decided to name it Redbreast. Anyway, regardless of that, in the 1960s, Irish distillers came on board and tried to consolidate all the Irish distilleries, and then decided to stop supplying Gilbey's with the distillate. For a while there, Gilbey's convinced the Irish distillers not to do it, but eventually the Irish distillers decided to consolidate all the Irish distilleries and put them all together in Middleton, where actually Redbreast now is being made. Now, Redbreast is a single pot still Irish whiskey. That means that it's similar to a single malt. Means that it comes from a single distillery. If it doesn't come from a single distillery, the whiskey will be called pot still. Now, single pot still was actually a new name that they put, or a new definition of Irish whiskey that got released in the last 3 or 4 years, just because the American Association of Health decided that you couldn't put pure on a liquid unless it was completely pure. It was basically for regulations in America. So now it's called single pot. It's also worth noting that Irish whiskies as well, by law, if you want to call it single pot still, you have to do a mix between malted barley and unmalted barley. And Irish people or Irish distillers believe that that's why Irish whiskey gets a little bit more silkier mouthfeel and like a little bit more spicy notes on the whiskey. Now, without further ado, let's just jump into the whiskey. It comes in a beautiful oak box, quite solid, and then has a lovely. So it goes. This bottle, compared to the red one, to the green one, comes in a completely brown, kind of like reddish looking bottle. That is to basically give it a nod to the fact that it's finished in ruby port casks from Portugal. Again, another nod to the fact that Redbreast comes from a big tradition of aging all those whiskies in sherry casks. Now, this is a combination as well of American oak and sherry casks for 27 years old. It doesn't really tell you how long in each one, but I'm assuming half and half. Most of Irish, the 12-year-old is mainly that. And then this is a whooping 54.6% ABV, which is incredible for a 27-year-old, and that's going to pack a punch. We haven't been able to try this one first, so this is going to be the first one that we are going to try it in today's. There we go. Brand new bottle. Stay there. Beautiful. Redbreast is definitely one of my favorite Irish whiskey. That and green or yellow spot. They just don't make a bad whiskey, and it's absolutely delicious. It's really soft and really easy drinking, but at the same time, really, really complex. Worth mentioning as well, this is triple distilled as well. Some Irish whiskies do a double distillation, but in this particular case, it's triple distilled. And whoa, that's a great nose. You can definitely tell the sherry cask in this. But there's a certain sweetness, almost like fruitiness. Like you can almost smell passion fruit on the nose. It's actually really interesting. Wow, yeah, a 58% ABV. You definitely don't need water for this, which you would think that you would, but it's actually really smooth. And well, there's a lot of maple, green apples, pears. It's quite fruity, but at the same time, it's quite sweet. It's actually really interesting whiskey, super complex. I'm assuming those extra notes of complexity come from the ruby port. That adds an extra layer of complexity to the whiskey. Anyway, this is definitely delicious whiskey. Definitely highly recommend it. Again, I'm not surprised, to be honest. Redbreast is an incredible distillery. So thank you for listening, guys, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Slàinte.